Good morning, everyone. As is customary, I want to invite you to give yourselves a round of applause for making it to day 3. Let's check out some of yesterday's takeaways today. This is your story. Follow your passion. Money is not the problem, it's imagination. Nothing functions without creative arts. Promoting skills and academics. Value your work. I am very good at knowing my value. If this is not a nourishing session, sue me. It's the same old, pardon my French, shh. We are rich in resources, tangible and intangible. Grenada needs to live, so live. If you do good, you do good for yourself. If you do bad for yourself. The road is less crowded when you follow your path. I see your granddaughter, you must be proud. I'm so proud, sometimes I just wonder if she know how proud I is. Little by little, one travels far. Wherever I go, Grenada does go with me. Them times saw Superman wearing short pants, and I wanted to be Superman. A child does not see the impossible. Music found me. I cannot stop dancing. I couldn't start dreaming. Every single step determines your future. Unleash that spirit. If your dreams are not frightening you, they're not big enough. Sometimes you can be a gem, but they don't see it. Bigger than Beyonce. Make sure your name is on it. Dancing is more than whining. Let us continue, ladies and gentlemen, to seize every moment. Unleash your potential. Unleash your energy. Unleash your creativity. Welcome to day 3 of Unleash. I would like to take this opportunity at this time to welcome in our presence Minister for Creative Affairs, Honorable Lennox Andrews. Our first speaker this morning goes by the name Rodney Charles. He's a passionate producer, screenwriter, filmmaker, model, actor, and philanthropist who was raised in Grenada and in London. His film production company has offices in Los Angeles, Germany, and London. As a male supermodel, Rodney's exposure to diverse global cultures has inspired his acute exploration in how film, advertising, and storytelling impact on self-awareness and identity globally. Rodney is committed to producing innovative screenplays and crafting remarkable visual stories that interrogate subjects through his uniquely transcultural gaze. Ladies and gentlemen, Rodney Charles. Rodney will be accompanied by his good friend Simon Frederick. Welcome, sir.
Testing, thank you. Thank you for that. Can everyone hear me okay?
Sit down. Morning, everyone.
Good morning. Oh, I'm up now.
Okay, all right. Don't need this one. Okay.
I'll just say something quickly while you're doing that. I just want to say, as a returning Grenadian, I am so enamored, thrilled, and humbled by by the phenomenal reception that I've been given being here. Before you applaud the level of talent, the world-class conversations that I've been having here has warmed my heart. I'm so proud right now, and I'm so full. Thank you, Grenadians, for being you, for being us. Thank you.
So, hi, good morning. I'm Simon Frederick. We've already met. And it gives me great pleasure to be in conversation this morning with not only my friend of many years, but my cousin, Rodney Charles. Grenada is that small, even for us in London. So we're going to get straight into a conversation because Rodney has a lot to say and a lot to share with yourselves in a way that I believe is going to be very useful. So, Rodney, let's start by telling everyone who you are.
Well, as I've already established, I'm a Grenadian. I was raised here in Grenada, in the parish of St. Patrick's. I went to St. Patrick's RC school, and so that was my foundation. I was raised with very strict focus on education in terms of the various disciplines, just excellence. I was raised in a space of excellence and being taught that that is what you do. As a Grenadian, you aspire to excellence. And so that was really my foundation growing up here. However, at the age of 6, I then transitioned. I went with my mother to London, where my dad was. So I joined the family and essentially had to make that transition. Now, I want to pause there for a minute because I don't want to just gloss over the fact that I transitioned to the UK. That was my first education in terms of being a Grenadian and having to perceive, understand, and live with how the outside world perceived me. I was raised as a Grenadian, feeling loved, feeling clear on who I am, and then arrived in the UK to a very, very different welcome and experience. Now, this may mirror some of the creatives here who are Grenadian, especially some of the younger people who may not have traveled before, when you go overseas. Time is short, but there has to be conversations that prepare our artists, not just in terms of the expertise that you require in your particular field, but the mental and internal resilience to be able to withstand some of the onslaughts that may happen internationally.
With that in mind, can you tell us where in the world you've worked, and as a Grenadian, how have you been received?
Well, just to give you an idea, obviously I'm not going to list every country essentially, but...
I think you should.
But I've worked throughout Asia. By that I mean China, mainland China, Beijing, Hong Kong, as well as India. I've worked throughout India, or various huge countries, so parts of India, Mumbai specifically. Different parts of Southeast Asia like Thailand, etc., Philippines, but also Africa, the African continent. I lived for a while in South Africa, worked throughout Southern Africa. I have been a consultant and have been mentor for the Namibian government in terms of the film commission there. We've worked very closely together. I've obviously worked throughout Europe. I shouldn't say obviously, but as a model, part of my job description is to go to what we call the fashion capitals, which would be Paris, Milan, New York, and London, where the big fashion show collections take place. So those are some of the places. Latin America, I've lived in Brazil for periods of time, worked in all of these spaces. I've listed so many spaces, and it goes beyond the French Polynesia, etc. What's relevant about me listing all of those places is about the way in which the black body and the black culture and our experience is received in various spaces. It is phenomenal to me to understand that on one hand, we are deified in terms of our music, in terms of our style elements and cultural style elements that we create, which are embraced so warmly and absorbed by so many cultures internationally, while at the same time, the physical black body, the experience you can receive from an individual on the street can be quite denigrating, can be quite debilitating. And so there is a disconnect here. I lovingly always say that it's a bit like you go to a wedding sometimes in certain parts of Asia or whatever, and the music being played will be our own. It could be anything from hip hop to, R&B to whatever. But God forbid that their son or daughter was marrying a black person. So it's a very interesting balance that we strike. There is a love for us culturally and value and in terms of what we create, but not necessarily who we are. And I believe that we can change that. This is the role of the creative industries. The reason people don't generally respect us to the degree that they should is because somebody else has been telling our story. Somebody else has been putting forward representational archetypes of who we are. I am so grateful that I was educated at a foundational age in St. Patrick's. No one can take away from me the understanding of who I am and where I come from.
With that in mind, okay, we have an audience here who really want to hear practically, okay, practically. Because, basically, you're an actor, you're a model, you're a producer, a writer, and we'll go into all of those things. But let's just start off with the practical things of being an actor and a model, okay? Because basically there are people in here, I know we've met some people who run model agencies, there's some people who are acting as well. There is a path that you have to take, that you have taken, where you have to go through that path of going to castings, showing your face, showing your talent. Could you talk practically to us about the procedures that you go through in order to get a role and to establish yourself in the marketplace?
Okay, absolutely. The world of modeling and the world of acting are quite different. But there's a synergy between those worlds and other spaces, such as music, even painters and literary artists sometimes, because there are certain key pillars that don't really move. There are things like agents, there are things like managers, and then at the end of the day, there are spaces where the work is, there are clients, shall we say. So, as a model, let's just use some of the... family, do we mind if can I get personal and share some of my... Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Let's see where this goes.
So when people look at some of the campaigns that I've done, Barney's New York, Macy's, Banana Republic, the list goes on, Marks and Spencer's, John Lewis, etc., or Target, you know, it's been a long career and a successful career. But here's the thing that I really want to take the time to point out. When I began, I tried to get an agent, and I couldn't. I was told that I was told that I was too black, quite literally. I was told that my features were too African. I was also told that clients, it wasn't them, it was never them. If I was speaking to agents or anybody, it was never an agent's, that wasn't their proposition, it was that the marketplace wouldn't embrace me. And that is the African archetype, the black archetype. I wouldn't be embraced. So ultimately, I went around to different model agencies, and after getting rejections from almost everybody, I had to come up with a plan. So I went to a bookstore which sold magazines, and I couldn't really afford the magazines at the time. And this is part of my New York experience I'm talking about here now specifically. Similar things happened in London. No. But I was in New York, and I went to a bookstore, and I started looking at the magazines. And I realized who on the magazine's masthead were the art directors and the fashion editors. I took down their names and the phone numbers, and I called them. And I said, hi, my name's Rodney Charles. I'm a model from London, and I have a portfolio of some good pictures. I can't get an agent to represent me, but if you would take a minute just to look at my books, can you please just take 5 minutes? If 2 minutes and it's not good enough, I'll be out of there, no question. 5 of the people that I called said, come in. Of the 5, 3 of them booked me for modeling assignments. Of the 3, I had to then wait for about a month for the magazines to come out. My beloved sister, who's sitting right there, was putting food in my stomach and looking after me. Yolande, raise your hand, please. Yolande Charles, my sister. Without that, I don't know what I would have done, because I would have been more on the streets than I later became. So ultimately, when the magazines came out, I took those publications and I took them back to the model agencies. Phenomenally, most of them still said no, but one of them said yes. And that was vgh'n Hardison. There's an actor called Kadeem Hardison who was in a different world. That's his mother. She said yes, black woman. And she said yes, and that started my career. I started booking. I booked the Polo Ralph Lauren campaign with Bruce Weber, who's a huge photographer down in Miami. And then a series of things started happening after that. So that kind of initiative versus on the acting side of things, growing up in London wanting to be an actor, you had to have an equity card. The equity card was a professional card which made you a member of the Actors Union. But in order to get this, and this is important because I think most artists find this cyclical situation that I'm about to talk about, they find it very commonplace. I was told that in order to act, you needed an equity card, but in order to get an equity card, you had to be an actor, working actor to get the contracts. Does this sound familiar to any artists? Okay, so I was caught in that loop for some time. Now here's the issue. I didn't have someone like my cousin here, older than me, we're similar age, so I didn't have someone my age to be a mentor. So I was running around in circles trying to figure out how can I get in the door with the acting. And this is where we leave ourselves open to all sorts of predatory behavior. You have people out there who are saying, give me money and I will make you a model. Give me money and I will make you an actor. People, family, you don't have to pay any money to get representation to be an artist. A legitimate professional agent will represent you to get you work and take a percentage of your earnings. You don't pay someone for a portfolio. Photographers take images of people they like so that they, correct me if I'm wrong,
absolutely,
can exploit those images for themselves as a photographer, and you exploit your image as a model. It's a quid pro quo, as they say. So ultimately, we have to be very clear in terms of how we leave ourselves open to all sorts of exploitative behavior. If we're not careful and we don't have the right mentorships. We are here to ensure that the mentorship is solid, and it's not just the two of us, there's a whole international cadre of Grenadians in the diaspora and Grenadians locally, I'm finding out, who have this information, and we have to make ourselves more available, both to the youth and to the established individuals who may not know a particular segment of our industry.
Yeah. With that in mind, that's a really good point you mentioned here, because there's been a lot of people on the ground that in the last few days that I've spoken to, there's a concern in the conference that we've come from abroad and we leave, and as we leave, we take our expertise with us. Yeah. So can you, I don't know, share the conversations that we've been having actually about mentorship, about using the talent on the ground, working with talent on the ground and their expertise that there is on the ground and the expertise that we have of global markets, and how we merge those two things.
Okay. Firstly, I think I'd like to dispel the myth that there's some kind of separation between Grenadians at home and abroad. I believe that we're connected more than those who have not traveled know. That is my sincere understanding. I think that when it comes to the ways in which we interact, social media has made that barrier a thing of the past now. If anybody needs to reach me or to reach Simon or to reach anybody else, you can direct messages through to any of our social platforms. We're contactable. I think sometimes people don't understand how magical and how much of a game changer that is. I'm old enough to understand when you couldn't get information. It was just a thing that, and you were just in this space where it was just, again, open to this predatory practice of, I know some things, and if you want to know, you have to come through me. So we are in a space where we've come here and we've traveled, and what we wish to do is establish a dialogue. I am not here to teach anybody singularly. I'm here to learn as much as I share. This is a vibrant, dynamic country and marketplace. And Grenadians have something that I don't have if I'm in LA, Los Angeles, Germany, or London, which are the three countries that my production company and myself have based. They have something which is control of their nation. I don't control England. Nobody who looks like me controls Britain or Germany. And the ministers sitting right here, I can walk up to and I can have a conversation, and that conversation can be filtered to the Prime Minister, to the board who make the decisions. These things are important for us all to understand, because in essence, I need you, and the knowledge and some of the expertise that I may have and the relationships that I have internationally can then feed back here. May I use the example of the African Artists Association to just map this
Absolutely.
out?
Yeah.
Guys at the back, I don't know, could you pull up the African Artists Association for me on the screen, if that's possible? The African Artists Association is a non-profit organization that I and some colleagues of mine started in Los Angeles. We started this as a response to the way that the black image and the industry, the Hollywood machine, was treating black body, as I say, the black culture, and all things in that space in somewhat a debilitating fashion, and we didn't feel that there was a cohesive voice to speak to this. We wanted to create something that could demystify the entertainment industry, because what I was seeing was that, let's say a Grenadian makes a film, and the film gets accepted into the one of the festivals in Los Angeles. Let's say it's the Pan-African Film Festival, or it's the AFI Fest, or any of the other festivals taking place in the city. Now, the filmmaker would come in, and we have filmmakers from all of our diaspora. Remember, I'm in Hollywood, California, so when people have a dream, they come there. That's the last stop. So ultimately, people would show up, and they wouldn't have a plan. They very rarely have the resources to keep going. They've made it to California, and they've run out of gas. I decided, and my colleagues decided, that we had to do something about this. So we set up this portal, and what we do is once a month, first Saturday of every month, we meet at the AFI, and now this is also available online. And I bring in an industry guest
Rodney,
speaker.
can you just explain what the AFI means?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. The American Film Institute is one of the seats of learning for the film and television industry. People like Steven Spielberg, George Lucas went to the AFI. So some of the biggest filmmakers in the world have gone through the American Film Institute. We meet there once a month, and then we bring in a guest speaker. Some of the people that you may see on the board there have been in and have been our guest speakers, and I moderate a conversation with them that teases out the information that we need. And then what I started realizing is that we have people from Ghana, from Nigeria, from South Africa, from all over the African continent, from Jamaica, from Grenada, from wherever, Trinidad and Tobago. Everyone's coming in from the UK. Black folks, they're coming in and saying, help us, we need this, we need that. We're in Los Angeles, how do we do this? I decided that with all these people, I needed to create something. So what we started doing is I would find actors, for example. Someone who came into Hollywood, all they wanted to do is be an actor, be a star. And I'd say, do you write? They'd look at me incredulously and say, do I write? I said, yeah, have you ever thought of writing? Have you ever thought of directing? Have you ever thought of producing? That way, instantaneously triggering the concept or the idea that they could maximize their potential in the food chain beyond being just the one thing. I am a multi-hyphenate. There is power in that. Most of the people on this stage have been multi-hyphenates. Once that has happened, if they don't have the skill set to write or whatever, I find a writer in the group, and we pair them together. Maybe with other actors, maybe with a director of photography, maybe with a producer. We find the individuals. This is transferable. In this room, if I asked by show of hands, we have all sorts of different professions. You come together, and what we ended up doing is people who thought they couldn't write started working with a professional writer. They'd learned the skills of writing. People who thought they couldn't act started working with writing and working with a professional actor, started learning those skill sets. So it goes. I ended up with a series of 5 short films made by our members within no time at all. So people have come in. Remember, they've run out of gas in California. They now have decided, they've now thought, well, maybe I can do something. They've collaborated within the group, and we've produced content. So now I had to figure out, right, what do I do with this? I know enough about distribution and all this sort of stuff to be able to do something. So the next step was I reached out to the Pan-African Film Festival in Los Angeles. The Pan-African Film Festival is the largest black film festival in America. And it's linked also to the AMAs, which are the African Movie Awards in Nigeria. So that's a pathway now to the continent. Now you see how this works. A Grenadian leaves, comes to LA, they're partnered, we make a film, and now this film goes to the Pan-African Film Festival. The 3As, the African Artists Association, then structures the section in the festival where the 3A's films are screened, and we eventize that by having an event, a party, etc. And now individuals, companies are interested in purchasing those films. They've already seen them presented as a block, so they may try to purchase that block of films. Now you've established a career pathway. Remember, you came to LA to act. Now you're negotiating sales of your project, and you've controlled the narrative. You've created your stories, and now you are in a position to start negotiating in the marketplaces. So you can start thinking about going to places with your short film, like the Short Film Corner at the Cannes Film Festival. Arguably the most prestigious film festival on the planet. I'll be there next week. It begins in a few days' time. I'll be there next week. And you go to the marketplace, the marché, and you start meeting distributors, sales agents, and the people who control the resources and the economy of our business, not the actors who get paid to do the work, the people who control the economy. Once you're in that space, you start to get very clear about how our industry really runs and how it works. So it starts from having a clear sense of what that pipeline, what that chain is. So for young ladies, these sisters here with the schoolgirls that I'm looking at, if you want to sing, if you want to dance, if you want to act, if you want to do any of these things, you have to look at where do you see yourself being? And if it's on television, if it's in a movie, who controls that space? And that's why we speak about the sales, distribution, and the management potential of that space, so you can have an understanding of how you own your own intellectual property, which is the script or the written word or the lyrics to your song. All of these things are vitally important, otherwise you will end up being a famous individual who is broke. All too familiar within our community, and we don't want any of that happening out of Grenada.
Before we conclude, yeah? 3 minutes, okay. Yeah, before we conclude, I've just been told we have 3 minutes. I think it's actually a really good time to take questions from the audience so that we can have a little bit of interaction between Rodney and yourselves. One second. The young ladies over there from the school, I just want to find out, why are you here today? Can we get a mic to you? I will run with the mic myself.
Simon.
Yep.
There's something I want to show.
Okay, we can do it ourselves. You've got 3 minutes, remember.
Okay, good.
Here you go. Hi. Here you go. Is the mic on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, good morning to everybody.
Good morning.
I am here today mainly because I want to learn more about the art field, mostly like acting, singing, dancing, all of that, and meet new people, meet successful people, and find out more about like how can I get in, how can I get out, how can I do this, do that, what's my next step after school.
Okay.
Fantastic. I'm glad you did that, Cuz, because knowing that that's what the young lady wanted to do. Here's what, guys, if you can just get the clip for the teaser ready for me, please. I'd appreciate that.
Can I set you up?
Here's what I'd,
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
Thanks, Gus.
So one of the things that happens with actors in England is that you can't get the roles or the parts that you would like that meet your talent. So what you have to do is write those roles. Continue.
So I want to lead in really from the perspective of values. I believe that if you establish a thriving film or creative industry sector, and the foundation of that sector isn't a value proposition that supports the people of the nation, it will be a disaster. If you have people telling the kind of stories and perpetuating the kind of content which is debilitating, which is denigrating, and which drags us backward and is not cohesive, we will die. I believe, to the young sister there who has this dream and desire, what I chose to do, I have a film right now, and I'll be having a follow-up meeting with one of the large streaming platforms. And this meeting came about because what I did is I looked at the people around me who I knew, and I asked them if they would give me a weekend, 1 weekend, so that we can shoot a proof of concept or a teaser for a script that I'd written. They agreed. And the following teaser is something that I made with no money, just the goodwill of my peers and it's gotten me into these conversations. Can we try to run the teaser, please, if that's possible?
I got a call from a sheriff's office in America. Something's happened to Ayo. Leaving Nigeria, on my way to America to identify his body. They say it was suicide, but where are you guys? I may need backup.
I'm in London. Just got back from a tournament in Thailand. Count me in.
Razor, you're in London.
Where to, bruv? Justice, I got you back, mate. In for a penny, in for a pound.
Yeah, man. But there Jamaica just a sample like a lighthouse, saying, yo, justice. But from his family running, you know, semi day in I eat. A four. Where I say?
I hear you, Vomit. I happen to have access to a shite load of toys. I'm sorry for your loss, Justice, but something sounds fucked up. Count me in.
Now, I don't know what we're getting ourselves into, but I do know my brother did not kill himself. This is one life. Their real lives does matter.
Thank you so much. I'm around. Love to see you guys. Thank you, sister. No, that's not mine.
Thank you so much, Rodney. And how many of you would like to see me in Bush Boys? Rodney, you heard that? You heard that?
I got you.
My resume is on, I'll send it to you. Our next speaker goes by the name Ricardo Keynes Douglas, MBE.
Okay.
He's a cultural ambassador, storyteller, and international award-winning playwright, carnival costume designer, author, and actor. He was inducted in the Caribbean Hall of Fame for excellence in theater, and his musical play, The Nutmeg Princess, won the Dora Marva Moore Award, the top Canadian theater award in 1999. Ricardo Keynes Douglas has written and directed over 10 plays, including I, Ivan and Uncle, which I'm happy to say I was a part of. He has produced many national shows, including Panorama, Du Mardi Gras, Queen shows, and the list goes on and on and on. Ladies and gentlemen, our cultural ambassador, Ricardo Keynes Douglas.
Hello, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm quite honored. I just want to say this is an incredible adventure we're doing here, and I want to congratulate the government of Grenada, because without them, this would not be happening. Creative Affairs, thank you. This is the beginning, and I wish I had this when I started. Now, they told me I can talk about whatever, but really, it's my journey from the 70s up to where I am today. I represent the little boy and the little girl in Tivoli, in Grenville, all over, and this is how the story starts. Since I'm all born, I like theater. So when I came yesterday, I said to myself, I see all this PowerPoint and thing. I say, I get so frightened. So I run home now because I had to keep up with the Joneses. So I kind of put together a PowerPoint. It's more power than point. All right, so just remember that. So I'm rushing here now, and I got stopped by the police. You see, I used to wear glasses, but now I have contacts. So I'm rushing here, and I say, listen, I'm going to the most incredible thing that's happening in Grenada now. And the police stopped me because I was speeding. I said, sir, I'm late. He said, show me your license. I show him my license. He said, sir, according to this, you're supposed to be wearing glasses. I said, I have contacts. He said, I don't care who you know. So the point I'm trying to make to you, don't think who you know will get you anywhere. All right? We can stop. Well, I didn't have a clicker, you see? Okay. Okay, unleash that little boy. Whenever you see that little boy, and I say, remember, I want you to say, that little boy. Let me hear you. That little boy. The little boy, my journey, what is for you is for you. If it's in your soul, no one can take it away from you. Where are the click now? Come and click this for me. Okay? So click next. You see, that's why I like my hard copy, huh? Mr. Okay. So, okay. There's so many creative people who are not living up to their creative potential because they are not in an environment that foster, stimulate, and encourage that kind of passion for what they love to do. And that is where the creative economy has started. So they're giving us an opportunity now to start. Click, please. I had to click? I know. Oh, thank you. Now, talent doesn't make you successful in what you want to do. How bad do you want it? Now, these are the things as I talk, I want you to remember. Because no matter all the technology, all of that, these are the things an artist has to have. You can have all the digital, all the different, whatever. Passion, stamina, perseverance, sacrifice, gratitude, and humility. Now, this is the little boy I'm talking about. 10 years old. Now, I want you, when I say that is a little boy that wanted and dreamt in the 70s that I want to be an actor. Click. Oh, sorry. Growing up in Grenada, I hated school. I'd rather go to the dentist and take out a teeth than go to school. That's how much I hated school, right? Exams for me, I was scared. I used to sit in the back and drawing, and doing poetry, and doing all that kind of thing until a duster come to me and hit me. But it's a love. I didn't have that kind of stuff. I did not want to learn about Latin, amor, mas, amat, amamus, amatis, amant. No, I'm not into chemistry and physics. I want to create. I have this thing inside of me. I remember my dad supported me. I sat an exam. There were 53 kids in the class. I came 51 out of 53. So I'm laughing. Daddy say, "You happy?" I say, "Yes, Daddy." I came first in the second 50. You know? So I love that. So I started dancing. At 14 years old, I started dancing. How I used to learn? I used to go to the movies. When all the Sweet Charity and West Side Story, they would come to the Empire Cinema. And I would go there. And I would sit and watch those movies, watch all the dance movements, you know? And then I would come back home and I would be able to do it. Don't tell me to jeter. I know how to jump up in the air and open my legs, right? And that is how I learned. So I decided I would form my own dance company. And I formed a company called the Spice Follies, right? And we represented Grenada. We went to the first Carry Fest. I was only 15 years old. I produced my own show because the love I had is what I wanted to do, that passion of the young man or the young girl. And I produced my own show in GBSS. Who was patron? Eric Matthew Gary. Sold out, $3 to get in. Now that is what I'm saying. At 14 years old, I did not know anything. It was a gift. And these are the things you cannot suppress. And that is the passion I'm talking about. I'm looking at a movie called, I'm saying you this now because there was a movie called Prime Office Jean Brody. I was like 14 years old when I went to see it. And in that movie, there's a woman, an actress called Maggie Smith. And you all know Maggie Smith, the English. And she won the Academy Award. I'm just putting that red herring there because I'm talking about that later, right? No, theater is a hobby, people think. It's your livelihood. When I come to you, you don't come and say, "Come and do a little dance over here for me. Come and do a little thing over here for me." Yeah? No, this is what I do for a living. For a living. You don't call a lawyer and say, "Come and do a little contract for me." You don't call a doctor to come and do a little operation for me. No. You know, So you have to respect that. I only have half an hour. I could talk about 10 things, but I just want to deal with that little boy. So he's seen the journey of the little boy, because as I talk, remember what the things, the passion, the stamina, the creativity, you have to continue. My dad used to tell me, visualize. My dad was the first creative economy without the money. No economy, creative, but he pushed me. And in the 70s, he was telling me, in the 60s, as a little boy, visualize what you want, people. Have the passion inside of you, see it. And it will happen. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do anything. That's why I laugh. I said, Daddy, I came first in the second 50, and I was proud of that. Yes. So he said, you want to do that? He said, go Canada. So he put aside the money, sent me to Canada. As I got to Canada, I auditioned at the Dawson Theatre Professional Theatre School. As I got in, there were like auditions for over 400 people. And they only took 33 people. And I had to do a classical piece. I never heard about classical piece, a modern piece, a song and a dance. So I auditioned. I learned a classical piece from Shakespeare, Romeo's monologue. And I was speaking a mile a minute, because I just come from Grenada, and I was speaking to Grenadian accent. And they were amazed. They say, is that a language? I said, yes, it's a very good, yes. I said, yes, it is a language, yes. You know, and I got in. Over 300 people auditioned, and I got in. You know, that little, or it could be a girl. Yeah, exactly, and I got in. And when I started, it's a 3-year program, intense program. You learned everything about the theater, which I want to happen here in Grenada. I want to, yes. I want it to happen here. And you learn about the theater for 3 years of intense training. Diction, clarity, voice, dance, a study of theater, every kind of stuff, audition. So when I got onto that stage, I went, I am home. This is where I belong, not in a class telling me about chemistry and this and that. I want to create. And I can say this is where I was unleashed. This is where it came out. And from that moment on, then, after I graduated from theater school, I was on scholarship at the Ballet Jazz, which is one of the top dance companies in Montreal. Then I became the resident choreographer. And this is all the little boy. I remember that little boy, the resident choreographer at the Children's Theatre of Montreal. Then they told me to audition for Stratford Shakespeare, the Stratford Festival, which is the Stratford Shakespeare Company. And I went and I auditioned. And when I auditioned, it's a company that runs for 9 months of the year. And when I auditioned, I got in. That little got in. And when I got in, who is in the company with me but Maggie Smith, with the Academy Award winner? Maggie, who I saw as a little boy running on Grenada's beach. And I saw that movie and there I am, Maggie Smith, Peter Houston. These are the people in the company with me. So what is for you is for you. You cannot take that away. You have to have that passion, right? Then, when I was in Grenada, Professor Rodney talked a lot about the Canadian Equity Union and stuff like that. So I got all my equity unions. I joined the ACTRA because I got into film. And then I did my first song by who produced it here, Eddie Bullen, one of the leading producers in Canada. He produced my, so I got into soca. So for 40 years now, all the unions up in Canada, right? My second home to beat, but Grenada is the home. No, I was Ricky. They won their thing, you see? Technology. So yes, I was calling Ricky. So when I became professional, I started to use my professional name, which my mom and dad gave me, Ricardo. And you notice Ricardo has an H in it. It's not R-I-C-A-R-D-O, it's R-I-C-H-A-R-D-O. Right? And I said, Daddy, why you put the H? He says, son, that's for hope. Hope. So every time I see that H in my name, it means hope. Then I started doing my own thing because I wanted to do my own voice. And I started writing stories. And one of the stories I wrote was called To Ski or Not to Ski. It's about a Caribbean person going skiing for the first time. And the head of CBC Radio, Alex Frame, the head of CBC Radio, was driving to work one morning, and he heard me doing that story on the Peter Zosky show. You know who that Peter Zosky, one of the top radio shows in Canada, Peter Zosky. He's a legend in Canada. And I was invited on to the Peter Zosky show to tell my story because Peter just loved my work, so he invited me on. And Alex Trim is driving to work. He stopped the car because he was laughing so much. So when he got into the office, he said, "Get that guy." And they called me up. And the little boy was offered his own national radio show in Canada. That little from Grenada. From that, it ran national 4 years. And then, after that happened, I was offered because what is for you is for you. God works in mysterious ways. You do who you are. You bring your voice out. Don't try to be anybody else. Be who you are. That's the magic. And we are all very different. Then I was offered Sunday Arts Entertainment on CBC TV, my own TV show. No, CBC is the BBC of Canada. And this is national. All right? So I have to move fast because I only have half an hour. I can talk forever. Then this is going on. Then I got an invitation to dine aboard the Britannia with Princess Di. There I am. 26 people on board. That little sitting. Princess Di is sitting there. I am here. I'm telling her she must come to Grenada. We all talking. We got up from there. We went to the living room on the Britannia, and I keep saying, please, Ricardo, don't say Britannica. That's an encyclopedia. Don't say, I love the Britannica, right? It's the Britannia. We sang songs. I said, Princess Di, sing us a song. And the song she sang was, jingle bells, jingle bell rock, a jingle bell chime, and that is it. Now, talking about princesses, I'll bring you back to our princess. I do sessions where I talk like this about positiveness and about bringing out the energy, the voice in you. I do schools, I do universities. I'm sitting here talking to 800 teachers. And who it is? That little 800 teachers. And in one class session, there was about maybe 300 kids, white kids in it, and about maybe 10 black kids in that class in the session. And one little black girl put up her hand and she said, excuse me, sir, do you know a story of a black princess? And my heart sank because I did not know, and there are African stories, but I did not know one at the time. And she wanted all her friends to know that there is a princess that looked like her, because she knew all the Snow Whites and the Cinderellas and the Sleeping Beauties, but she never heard a story about a princess that looked like her. So I said, when I left that room, I said, I am going to write a story for children, all children, but specifically for my black colored children, so they can see themselves represented on a page. Prince, I have to click? Yes. Right. The Nutmeg Princess. So that's when the Nutmeg Princess came out. It became a bestseller in Canada. Then it was so good that they commissioned me to write a musical. A two-act musical, 12 songs in one of the leading theater company in Canada, Young People's Theatre, YPT. And I wrote a play, the musical. The musical ran in Toronto, and the musical was nominated for the Dora Mavor Award, which is the highest theatre award in Canada, up against the Canadian Opera Company, Bob Fosse's Broadway show, Dancing, and we won. The Nutmeg Princess won the Dora Mavor Award because it comes from that little. Exactly. That is the passion you have to remember when we're talking about these kids, because they have it, and we have to bring it out. How do we bring it out of them? It's by giving them the opportunities and loving them and giving it to them. You know. Then from that, it became one of the 100 best Canadian kids books of all time in Canada. Of all time. That's 95. So since that, I've written 13 books in 5 different languages. They're in Spanish, Italian, Chinese, French, right? And you see that little boy is always there. I always remember him. I go back to that. And that's why humility is so important. Remember where you come from. You know, remember where you come from. So this is the books, right? Then, this I want to show you. That was my first headshot. Rodney, we all know about that, right? That was my first headshot I shot. But then as a little boy, that's what we had to do when we go for auditions and stuff. When I auditioned in Canada, I've done most of the Broadway shows in the touring companies. I've done In Misbehaving, Sophisticated Ladies, The Boyfriend, Dames at Sea. And when I was auditioning for In Misbehaving, you would go into an audition, and there were 300-400 people there. And everybody's trying to psych each other out, you know, mama, 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 meow, meow, or doing all their voices are stretching and stuff like that. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, I mean, am I going to reach that? Because and I'm hearing that. I know I took my little singing classes and stuff in Canada, and that's another thing. You're looking at me. I used to be a dishwasher in Canada because in summertime, I had to better myself. My dad couldn't send me money. I had to go take the classes. If I want tap dancing, I have to go take the classes. How do I do that? By working in the summer. So I used to be the singing dishwasher at the Ritz-Carlton. 19, 20 years, I'm not ashamed of that because that is what got me here today as I'm talking to you. You know? So we had the audition, and they're singing away, all these high notes and things. They're going in, they come out, they're going in, they come out. It's my turn. And I went in, I wanted to talk with, do the song and stuff like that. And I got it. And then you realize sometimes it's not how fantastic you are. It's what they see in you. They say that is something special. Some people rather like to work with people who's not that good because of attitude, and there's some people who have all the attitude and stuff, and they say, I'd rather not work with that person. Deal with that. No. So these are the things that when you go in for an audition sometimes and you don't make it, it doesn't mean that you're not good. It's just not what they're looking for. And same with authors. When you send your books to be published and they send it back. All the Nutmeg Princess, going back to the Nutmeg Princess, my publishers in Toronto, Annick Press, they get 800 applicants, stories a year. And out of that 800, they take 33 books. But it doesn't matter because what I'm trying to say to you is that when you send stuff in and it's not accepted, it doesn't mean it's not good. It's just not what they're looking for, or they had a story similar to that last year, and things like that, So we always got to remember that. Talent doesn't make you successful in what you want to do. It's how bad you want it. That passion, stamina, perseverance, sacrifice, gratitude, humility. I bring that to remind you about that, right? Success is not determined by IQ. And it's not passed down. No, because your dad is a big singer, you could be a singer. No. It's not. It depends on how much effort we make to achieve what we want. To get where you want takes a long time, day in, day out. You have to be, this is all you have, artists, the singers. This is your instrument. You have to take care of it like how you take care of a car. This is it. You have to do your diction, you have to do your voice work every day, you have to go to your dance classes. Some people, when they have a gig, that's when they start running to do exercises and stuff. No, you have to be prepared for that opportunity. You have to be prepared. Success takes a long time. Mediocrity doesn't. Just remember that. Mediocrity doesn't. Having stamina, endurance, sticking with your future, day in, day out, not just for the week or month, but for years. And working very hard to make that future a reality. If this is what you want to do with your life, you cannot give up. My friend Ronnie, I'll show you the first little dance stick, a little clip. No, this is from the archives. This is World War II. It's a VHS. Ronnie, just throw that on for me, please. That's me. Okay, that's the African side, right? Quickly, then to be a triple threat, because I do musical theater. I'm trained in musical theater, classical, everything, and you have to share it, because if I go, I can't go with this. And people have to recognize, or locals, you have to recognize the talent you have in your country. It is very important. Now, to have 5 minutes, to triple threat, you have to learn tap. So it took me years to learn the tap dance, right? And I'll show you next. This is my first one, Obia Man. That's my tap. To inspire you. That's it. Thank you. Okay. Another thing, time is going. I'm part of this, so I know when it's time. The most important thing, remember, my friends, your work is your calling card. Your work, it doesn't matter how much digital you have, how much this have you have. It's how good you are, what people remember of you. If you get up on your stage, you're a lousy actor, you will not hire you. If you're a lousy choreographer, digital, filmmaker, whatever, you can bring it up, you can have all the branding you want. If it ain't good, if it ain't connecting, they're not going to do it. So always remember, your work is what. Quickly, these are the theaters I've worked at. Stratford with Maggie Smith here, and this is the Avon Theater. Now, Chris Riggs and myself and US have been praying for over 20 years for a theater in Grenada. Please. And we don't want a theater that turns into a badminton court or a basketball court. We want a theater where you can walk in and you close the doors and it's state of the art. No triple this and triple that and none of that. A theater. Okay, and I want to go with this, ladies and gentlemen. Just repeat after me. This is how I live. The 5 P's. Proper, preparation, prevents, poor performance. God bless. Thank you. Thank you.
Uncle Ricky, I wondering if you could still do the... I remember tap dancing. I used to do my first tap dancing lesson, brush, brush, step. Brush, brush, step. Hello, they teach me brush, brush, step. He's not such a little boy anymore. He's a big man now. Ricardo Keynes Douglas, everybody. Are you inspired this morning? Such an inspirational morning so far. I want to invite a colleague of mine in the film industry for 10 minutes or less to talk about her film festival coming up and her screenplay reading tomorrow in Rainbow Inn in St. Andrew. And then I'm gonna give you a 5-minute break, and then you're gonna go out to your breakout sessions, the workshops that are, my facilitators are ready. Look at y'all. Y'all ready? All in already? Well, I'm sending the people to y'all anyway. All right? Mashida Phillip, everybody. Hello. Good morning, everyone. This is a hard act to follow. I thought, I'm Grenadian, and I have no ounce of musical beat in me. I remember in New York, I tried to try it for the cheerleading team, and that did not work. They said, but aren't you Grenadian? I said, yeah, but I guess I didn't inherit that. Thank you so much for the opportunity. This is an amazing moment. For the last 5 years, I returned to Grenada, and I invested in building the film industry here in Grenada. Whew. Mr. Keynes Douglas just said, what's for you is for you. And I stand here representing all of the emerging filmmakers, seasoned filmmakers here in Grenada and in the diaspora, stating how important our stories are, not just locally, but also globally. For those of you who don't know me, I am a filmmaker, I am a creative entrepreneur, and I am a Grenadian. Our film festival is titled 12 Degrees North, 61 Degrees West Grenada Film Festival. Why? Because we are proud to say we are from this rock. It is something that grounds us as Grenadian. No matter where you go, it is represented here. The opportunities that is available. Rodney, I am holding you accountable to be part of this. The opportunities that is available here in Grenada is we have a festival that is promoting Grenadian stories, Caribbean stories, diasporic stories, and we need more support. Last year, Grenada, our festival featured 7 titles from Grenadians. We had our first Grenada night here in Grenada, showcasing films by Grenadians and about Grenada. Within the last 5 years, we've screened over 200 films. How many of you know about the Grenada Film Festival? There's a lot of you in here. My film, Scars of a Mother's Dream, which is my first film, it was inspired by my life, has gone on to represent Grenada in so many different markets across the world. I'm not someone who edifies my work or out there on social media because I'm behind the scenes. This year, we have received distribution in Africa. There's a second film, My Mother Mary, which premiered last year at the festival, received distribution in New York. Rodney spoke about the Pan-African Film Festival, and I must say, there's a film that was premiered here in Grenada last year called Raw Materials, which is a Jamaican film, went on to showcase in the Pan-African Film Festival and has become the first Jamaican film that was Oscar nominated in history. But guess what? That film was premiered here in Grenada. My concern is not promoting so much the rest of the Caribbean, although we are speaking the same language. But there are so many talent that is sitting in this room right now, and we also have the ability and the capability to create the content that can be featured in these international markets and be proud about what we are doing. Yesterday, they spoke about intangible and tangible things that we can do here. My colleague and I, Trisha Keynes Douglas, sitting in the back, we are writing the first film on Henry Christophe's life, inspired about his origins as a Grenadian here in Grenada. Tomorrow, we are having our first reading. We're doing something completely not non-traditional. We are reading the first draft of the script, and we are inviting you guys to come be a part of it. In a casual setting, let's network. Let us figure out and be proud about what we are creating here. This year's festival, I invite each and every one of you to participate. We are accepting submissions up until August, the ending of August, August 31st or 30th, for the Grenadians here, people from Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique, and the diaspora. We encourage you to create content, submit to us. We cannot promote Grenada, Grenadian content, Grenadian filmmakers, if we do not have content to do so. We cannot continue to expand in our networks from the Pan-African Film Festival, from Pavilion Afrique in Cannes Film Festival, to the Lacanau Film Festival in Switzerland, to all the other festivals that we are partners with in North America. We cannot push your work if we do not have content to push. We encourage you to support us. This year, the festival will be held from October 26th to the 28th. You still have a few more months to do so. And our theme, Ricky said, the small boy. This year's theme is from small seeds to big dreams. And what I am saying with that is, it took a very small idea. I saw a need, and we created a platform for us as Grenadians. And we are now, 5 years later, an internationally recognized film festival that is showcasing Grenadian content. You would hear me say mine, but it's not mine. My professor in school said, once you create something, it's no longer yours, it's for the world. This festival is not mine, it's for all of us here, and it's for the next generation. And I ask, and I plead, all of the creatives sitting here, locally and in the diaspora, we need your support. Government, we need your support. Let's make this a product that all of us here in Grenada could be proud of. The vehicle is set. Now we need drivers to help us get it to the next level. Access we do have. Ability we have. Capability we have. Now let's make this vgh'ns of the Caribbean right here in Grenada. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Shida. And as Ms. Shida said, tomorrow there will be a reading, a first draft of her film, along with Trisha Keynes Douglas, at Rainbow Inn in St. Andrew, from 4 o'clock. Ms. Shida, 4 o'clock? Rainbow Inn, St. Andrew. If you want to be a part of the reading, that is, read one of the rules, there are a few opportunities for that as well. So see me during the break, and we could talk about how we'll get you up there to read one of the rules. And Ms. Shida forgot to mention, it's also a soft casting, so you might be chosen to be in the film. So if you're interested in reading one of the rules, just meet me outside during the break, or come find me. I'm wearing pink pants today, and let's talk about how to get you up to Rainbow Inn and how to be a part of the film reading. So thank you once again. Our minister would like to say a few words, and then I'm going to tell you where the workshops are happening.
So thank you, and very good morning to everybody. I am profoundly moved by what has been happening here this morning. I want to say this. Government is a facilitator and a regulator. Government is about assisting, making it easy for our people who have the talent, who have the ability, who can get it done. The development of our country lies precisely with our people. Good? And I may have more to say later on, but the point I want to make now is that as the minister responsible for the creative industries, I give full commitment to give support to the film festival that will take place in Grenada in August. So I will have a sit down with you, Ms. Shida. We'll have a sit-down sometime today or later on, and we will detail the way in which you want government to support you in this endeavor. Thank you very much.
And I would also encourage you, sir, to have a sit-down with Shola K. Roberts. There's a dance festival happening in October. So you're welcome, Shola. I'll be dancing this year, so we need some support from the minister. And my dance teacher is clapping away in the back. Apologies for missing dance class this week, sir. I was here. All right, so it's time for our workshops. Listen carefully to the breakout rooms. The music workshop is happening, but first of all, I must say that you guys have been awesome this morning. Give yourselves another round of applause. You should have registered for 2 workshops. Now the workshops are all the same. They're just going to be happening 2 different times. So if you go to the music workshop now, you can choose another workshop in the next segment, all right? The next session. So the music workshop is being led by Eddie Bullin and Ronnie Thomason, and it's facilitated by Eugene Gittins. That is happening in the Crown Ballroom, Vanilla 3, and that room is outside. It's right here, Vanilla 3. The second workshop is Film and Multimedia, and it's being led by Simon Frederick, Kareed Clement, and Meshida Phillip, and it's happening in Nutmeg. Nutmeg is outside, right, in one of the rooms on the outside. The third workshop, Festivals and Entertainment, the Business of Carnival, and this one is being led by Christopher DeRiggs and Kelvin Jacob. That is happening Vanilla 1, Crown Ballroom, Vanilla 1, so somewhere in this space. The fourth workshop, Literary Expressions, that is being led by Kwame, and that is Vanilla 2, so that is happening in this room as well. Visual Arts and Craft, Andrea McLeod, Dr. Oliver Benoit, and Wendy Crawford. That is happening in Coco. Coco is one of the rooms on the outside. Fashion, Finoel, Joel Langine Sampson. That is happening in Mace. Mace is also outside. And the 7th one, Design and Interactive, George McCalman and Nigel Matlin. That is happening in Close. So all the rooms are labeled. All right, so enjoy your workshops. Before you go to the workshop, grab a cup of tea, use the restroom, and we'll see you back here. You'll be guided accordingly. So it should be about 10:50 now. The workshop will last for 1 hour. The first one will be from 10:50 to 11:50, and the second one will be from 11:50 to 12:50, and then you can take your lunch and then come back here for afternoon session. Have a good day.